Welcome to the Be the If podcast. Here, we focus on being intentional about your life, your time, and your legacy. I am your host, Jared Walker, and my goal is to help you be the if to your legacy. Top of the morning, everybody. Today's conversation is about how you can go about leveraging your past for the present, how you can take your trials and transform them into triumphs. Now, how do we go about doing that? Look, when I say past, I mean your power, ability, your skills, and your time. These are four things I am sure you have if you are watching this video. If you're listening to this on replay, if you are aware that you have life in your body, then you are one thing for sure, two things for certain. You have power. And what you also have is you have time. Now, how do we know that? Well, power is the possession of the qualities to do something or get something done. If you're alive, clearly you have the qualities to speak, right? You have the qualities to think, right? You have the qualities, or here's another thing, power is also ability. You have the ability to make your life 100% worse than it was yesterday or incrementally better today based off of intentional decisions that you decided to make. Notice I said decided. We're not talking about where you were double-minded. You know, those moments where you don't know, should I go left? Should I go right? You hesitate. I'm talking about the fact that there are things that you have decided. And when you make that decision, you get a result on the other side of it. And there's no question about it. So when we look at the fact that your past, your power, your ability, and the skills, oh my goodness, you have experienced all types of things in your life. I remember reading this story to my kids, and it was about an individual by the name of G Chang. And G Chang, he wanted to learn archery. And in the process of realizing this is what he desired, this is what he wanted, this is what he needed, the first thing he went to go do is he sought someone out who had already mastered it. That's what he did. He sought out a master. In the process of seeking out a master, he presented himself as someone who was coachable, willing to listen, willing to learn. Why? So he could acquire the skill. Okay, so what did he do? He did everything his master told him. His name was Fei Wei. He did everything Fei Wei told him, even though a lot of it took years to accomplish. In the process of these years that it took to accomplish what he was attempting to learn, the skill of archery, he developed a mentality, a mindset, meaning he had the mindset, then he got the skill set, then he got the tool set. So he had everything he needed, but it took time. How many of the skills that you have acquired are taken for granted because you just didn't like what you had to go through to get there? How many of you actually know that there are things you could be doing and you would be doing if you knew that they were actually valuable to you and you already possess it? I guess that's a question of how many people are leveraging you and your trials for their personal triumphs. How many people are leveraging you for what you've been through and using you for the value that you have produced over time, going through the power acquisition, ability acquisition, skill acquisition. However, because you may not be being intentional with your time, they are. Oh, they know what they want. They know how to get it. And they know that you are the person that's capable of getting it done. How many times have you found yourself producing fruit for somebody else? Fruit meaning results. For somebody else. Yet, for whatever reason, it seems like you just can't get ahead. See, here's the thing. It all starts with the way that you see all that you have gone through and are going through. Some of the wisest people that I have ever known, they've either been through the worst of the worst, or they still going through it. So, of course, the perspective of somebody who has gone through the fire can tell you what it feels like to get burned. But they can also tell you what it feels like to still be standing tall in the midst of the fire, not being overcome, not being triumphed over, but however championing over the actual trial of fire. Ooh. So check this out. Your past has produced a perspective that is so useful today that even if you don't know that is useful, somebody else sees it. See, somebody else sees your value based off of what you have already produced. Did you know that the very things that you struggle to learn, once you learn them, it was actually creating a building block for you to be able to stack on top of that to acquire more skills that were in the same arena, if not better? Have you ever found yourself doing something one time and you're like, man, I don't know how I did that? Well, the reality is because of the skills you've already acquired, guess what? You had what was required for you to actually get it done. And it didn't take a whole lot of time. See, the thing about time is you have an expiration date, and that's every one of us. However, you don't know when it is. Because you don't know when your last day is going to be, and because I'm unaware when my last day is going to be, how beneficial is it for me to focus on dying? There's no value to that. However, how beneficial is it for me to focus on what has taken place in the past, to identify the fact that I am resilient because I'm still here even after all of that stuff I went through? How valuable is that? How useful is that? How beneficial is that? See, when you focus on living and you don't focus on dying, you actually get to focus on winning. See, winning is a striving for the successes that are in front of you while taking advantage of the practices that are behind you. So when you have the opportunity to show up and perform, guess what? You have the ability to win because you've already been prepared. In life, you are either being prepared or you've been prepared. It's one or the other. So the very things that you can do, you should do, and you would do if you knew you could do, are already within you. You just have to get intentional about it, specifically starting with your time. See, time, I've heard it said, and I appreciate this, time is not money. Time is infinitely more valuable than money. Because if you run out of money, you could always make some more. You run out of time, it's game over. So what I like to see it as, time and life are synonymous. They're together. Because if you run out of life, you have no more time. If you run out of time, you have no more life. So if you get intentional about your time, then at that point, you are also getting intentional about your life. The thing about intentionality and your past is the past belongs to you. You have it. It's yours. You can go back into your memories and create messages behind them to produce principles that are valuable and useful for you personally and somebody else. Haven't you ever noticed that the people that are most use have actually acquired skills in the past that make them useful to you now in the present? So what you can do is this. Let's take your worst case scenarios and let's shift the perspective. Let's shift the perception. Let's shift the perceived value of what you've experienced. Let's look at it in a way that benefits you. Because if you don't know how to look at it, let me help you out. Look at the fact that you are still here. You are standing tall. And even if you slouched over, or as my friend would say, kick him, just not high. Either way, you still have the ability to move forward and become more of who it is that God has given you the ability and responsibility to become. So if you decided today to look at your past and pull from it to produce principles and perspectives that have memories and messages, and you can put some melodies to those things. I'm talking about make it so beautiful that the sound of it to somebody's ears gives them hope. And the hope that actually produces helps them to see their own life and situation. Because look, what you have gone through may be something that they are going through. And if the thing that they are going through does not seem like there's any light at the end of the tunnel for them, here you come as proof and evidence that they don't have to believe that. They can see better. Why? Because you were still here, and you are the evidence that they can move forward with intentionality and overcome whatever trial that they are in. It's a matter of how they choose to see their situation. The way to transform your actual past trials into your present triumphs is to actually remember. You have to remember. Don't remember the things that you hated. Remember the things that you currently appreciated. Because here's the thing. The assets of your past have appreciated over time. How do we know that? Because you were there. Are you not an asset? Is your time not an asset? Is your life not an asset? So when you look at your life and you look at your time and you see that there has been an appreciation, you have simply possibly been unappreciative. And this is all in your mind. You get to choose how you perceive and receive and achieve anything that you choose to do. That's on you. Even if you feel like you lost, you can see it as a win. Why? Because there was a lesson that was gained. That was just practice. It was just an opportunity. Change the way that you were seeing things. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind and watch what happens afterwards. See, the opportunities are simply oppositions that are presenting themselves as your teachers. And to teach means cause to learn. You can learn something from what you've experienced. So when you take your actual trials and you do what James says in the Bible, it says, count it all joy, dear brethren, when going through various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. And allow patience to have its full work. Therefore, you'll be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. Ooh. Have you ever met a person that was just so impatient you didn't want to deal with them? You know those people that want to complain about everything and don't want to see the brighter side of anything? You know, the type of person that could actually light up a room by leaving it. Yeah, don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. Don't be that person. You don't have to be that individual, because it's the moment that you walk into a room that it should light up and be brighter because of the perspective that is provided. What perspective? The fact that you can get through this. If I got through this, it's possible. And I'm evidence. I am proof. So when you look at the fact that if you can actually see your trial as an opportunity for growth, for grace, for personal development, then you can come out of that thing and treat it as if it was a gold mine. If you look at your trial, that storm that you're going through, as an opportunity to get a whole bunch of treasure, then see your struggle as a treasure hunt. And while you were going through it, go ahead and see how much treasure you can get, how much gold, how many precious stones, the diamonds, the silver, the all that is able to, it's at your, literally, it's right there at your reach. It's right there because you're in the right place at the right time. And when you exit it and when you get out of it and when it is over, you get to look and see how much you get to count it up. You get to count it up. And then you can count the cost of the experience, because if it cost you time and the time was no longer something that you regret, but it is something that has produced more and more and more, it has been appreciated, then and only then can you recognize that you were investing your time into your trials for the purpose of triumph. And check this out, becoming a tree of life to somebody else. Because hope deferred makes the heart sick. But a dream come true or a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. No tree eats of its own fruit, y'all. So the very tree of life that is producing fruit is useful for somebody else to come and take a bite. Let's go, y'all. Jared Walker, as usual, whether you woke up on purpose or not, people, you still woke up with purpose attached to your life. What you gonna do with it? Stay focused.